Hi everyone, it's me. This week we're going to talk about anxiety. How exciting. I've got myself a drink because anxiety is not that fun to talk about. I'm also in my pajamas because it's like a really dark day. If you can kind of tell by the lighting, it's stormy. It's a nice time to be inside. Oh, okay. Well, I've just completely lost my train of thought. I could talk about anxiety for, do you see that fly? Oh my goodness. I could talk about anxiety forever. I think it's really important that we talk about it. What I've found as well, my most popular blog posts, like the written posts, have been when I've talked about anxiety. So I thought, let's do a video. Let's do a recap. This time I wanted to talk about specific ways that I cope with anxiety. So let's go. Anxiety is not something that is new to my life. I was dealing with it back in Canada, sort of like from a scale of 1 to 10. Maybe my anxiety would be like a 1 to a 6 on a bad day. It was fairly mild. I just, keep calm and carry on kind of thing. But I was also in a really familiar area. I lived my whole life really in that area. I drove by those places like a billion times, all the shops and the restaurants, and everything was very familiar. So I was really excited about moving to England, and I didn't really think about how my anxiety would impact that. Basically, for people who don't have anxiety, it's kind of like having the ultimate party pooper that's just follows you around almost all the time. So I just didn't even think about it, which was probably a mistake. Anyways, so I moved over here after I'd visited like 5 or 6 times. I was coming to be with my boyfriend, so obviously I knew him and I was comfortable with him. I met his family, so I knew them. I knew where I was going to be living. It wasn't a huge surprise, so I thought everything would just be easy. Wrong. That first night, I finally get into bed, and to put it in the least dramatic way, I essentially cried myself to sleep, which is really silly to say out loud. But that was the emotion I was feeling, and I sort of chalked it up to just being tired and jet lagged, and there's a lot of emotions happening, so that was okay. But then I kept freaking out, like each day, like the next day and the day after that, and then I started thinking, okay, maybe I made the wrong choice, which is a really sucky feeling to have after you've done something quite drastic. And I'm thinking, I'm a failure. I've obviously tried this and it was stupid. I can't handle it. Blah, 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 blah. But in actuality, it was my anxiety that was freaking out because all my routine and structure and familiarity in my life was basically gone. So naturally, my internal party pooper was like, no, this ain't happening. And then I realized my really crappy feelings was my anxiety. It was my inner party pooper, and not because I made a mistake or I didn't want to do this or I was really unhappy. It was the anxiety that was like freaking out. So once I, figured out what was happening internally, then I could actually fix it. So what I started doing was I made this very specific anxiety coping plan. Anxiety coping plan. And basically I follow it to this day. Back in Canada, I followed bits of it, but now that I am in a foreign country, it became very apparent that I needed to follow it to a T. So I wanted to share with you guys all the different coping mechanisms that I've been using that have made my life so much more pleasant. Side note, I am not a doctor. I'll say it for the people in the back. I am not a doctor. I'm not a professional in any sort of health-related aspects. I'm not even really a professional in anything. So what we're going to be talking about is merely my experiences and how they have helped me, and hopefully if they can help you, then that's wicked. If you're finding that your anxiety is way too extreme, please tell somebody. Just tell somebody that you're struggling. It is really embarrassing, and anxiety makes you feel like a failure, which is just a fantastic feeling, really. Just a great feeling. So just tell somebody, go to your doctor, do something if you're finding that your just day-to-day techniques are not working. And this really isn't specific to England. I'm sure I would have felt this way had I moved to any other country, or even moved province, or moved down to the States, moved to a different state. It's just my anxiety being a drama queen, and it would have done it in any country. So this is nothing against England. England, I love you. You have just made my anxiety angry, basically. So with my coping techniques, I split it into two categories: physical and psychological. So let's start with the physical. So physical coping mechanisms that I do for me on the daily are things like I drink tons of water. Not right now, this is not water, but I'm at home, so I'm allowed to splurge. When I'm at work, I only drink water. I don't drink tea, I don't drink coffee or lattes or fancy cappuccinos. As much as they smell delicious, I drink water, because I think a huge part of helping my anxiety chill out is making sure my body is healthy and hydrated. So yeah, drink tons of water. Number two, I get lots of sleep, but not too much sleep. There's like a really specific balance. So even now, as technically an adult, I have a bedtime I have given myself. So between 11 and 12, I have to be in bed or asleep. Even on the weekends, I really try to stick to that bedtime, unless I'm out with friends, then that doesn't matter. But if I'm just at home and it's, 11:45, and all I'm doing is sitting on the couch in my pajamas on Facebook, like refreshing. I'm not doing anything. I'm just kind of like looking at people's lives, kind of making myself feel like a little crappy, and it's like, no, I need to go to sleep. So between 11 and 12, I'm in bed. During the week, I have a really specific wake-up time, obviously, because I work. But on the weekends, I don't let myself sleep in past, like, 10, which I realize is kind of late anyways. But when sometimes if you just sleep too much and then you feel really lethargic and crappy and you're kind of like, what's the point of anything? I don't like that feeling. So I make myself go to bed at a regular time and get up at a regular time. I'm not allowed to get myself sleep deprived, and I'm not allowed to sleep too much, because then I just won't want to get out of bed. Number three, I think, is exercise. Okay, I have never been very athletic, ever. I've tried. My parents have put me into sports. It wasn't very successful. Back when I was in college, I started really noticing the anxiety and just not a nice feeling. And my mom was basically like, why don't you walk yourself to the college gym? Because we had this brand new, beautiful gym that we could use as part of our tuition anyways. So she's like, go to the gym, burn off that nervous energy, and then you'll be too tired to worry about stuff. Whether that is realistic logic, I don't know, but it has helped probably more than any of my other coping mechanisms. Even though I am not athletic, I'm not a gym person, I've really made an improvement. So from back in college, literally I'd go on the elliptical for 10 minutes and I'd be like, right, yeah, I feel good. I'm going home now. And then I've built it up over the years to now I ran in a 5K because I wanted to, and I didn't die, and I wasn't last. That is an improvement for me. I'm never gonna be a gym bunny type person, Instagram stories at the gym with abs. That's never gonna be me. But for my anxiety, it has made a huge difference. What I found is that just exercising and getting sweaty and feeling productive and burning off that energy and getting the endorphins makes a huge difference for my anxiety. And it comes back to that whole healthy body, less anxiety sort of thing that I've been going for. So I'm hydrated, I've slept well, and I work out, and it just keeps the anxiety at bay. I think for the final physical aspect, I also try to watch what I eat. which varies in success. I mean, I love a good Friday night pizza as much as the next person, maybe even too much. But again, it comes back to that, just looking after your physical self, food, water, sleep, exercise. I find it really makes a big difference on my mental self. So, I mean, I don't diet and I don't suggest dieting. I think just watching that you're eating enough and you're eating the right stuff. That's all. Now, the other category is the like psychological side, the way I deal with my anxiety. And I think this is very particular to the type of person that you are and the type of anxiety you feel. But what I found for me is this. First thing, I need to have a very specific routine. I find that I get anxiety when I have to do things that I either don't know how to do, or like people are gonna watch me and I don't know like what I'm supposed to do. Like getting on the bus the first time, I was so anxious because I didn't know what the protocol was. I guess that's what freaks me out, not knowing what I'm supposed to be doing and looking like an idiot, which I realize is very irrational. But you don't need to tell me that because I already know. So with my routine, that's really settled down now, and that's really helped my anxiety. So I get up at the same times, I catch the same bus to work, I go to the gym on certain days, I come home and I do certain chores, I go to sleep at a certain time. So everything is very structured and I know what to do and I know what to expect, and it makes a huge difference on my overall anxiety. That being said, I still need things to look forward to, if that makes sense. So on one hand, I have a very consistent routine, and that makes me feel good. But then if you just do the same thing every day, that makes me not feel good, because it's like, what's the point? Like, there's nothing to look forward to. So at the same time, I have to schedule in things that I am excited about. So maybe it's I'm gonna see friends on Saturday, or I'm going out to dinner on Tuesday, or we're getting pizza on Friday, or I'm gonna watch a movie that I'm really excited about on the weekend. Just anything like that where I'm genuinely looking forward to it makes a big difference. So I have my routine, but then sprinkle in things that I'm really looking forward to, and it just sort of keeps me focused, I guess. In the same sort of psychological category, I find that I feel really good. Again, these are contrasting views. I need time to do nothing. I find I get so emotionally tired by the end of the week just being around humans. I'm sorry, humans, I like you. I am one of you, but you make me so tired. So I have to schedule time, literal time, just to be alone, just to be on my own, doing my own thing. Maybe, I make some popcorn and I watch this true crime show that I've been really interested in, and I just don't talk to anybody. I'm just alone, because I find I really need time to recharge, to feel good about myself and life and all that stuff. And that's not the same for everybody. Some people might find they really hate time alone and they need to be busy and doing stuff. And I mean, you do you, but that is totally not me. So while I plan in time to just be quiet and recharge and be alone, I also need to feel productive. So this is where it's kind of that opposite. It's I need a routine, but I also need different fun stuff sprinkled throughout my week. Just I need to have solo quiet time, but I also need to have activities that make me feel like I've accomplished something. So what I tend to do, I'm a lover of lists. I write lists for myself, realistic lists. Don't write lists that you know you're never gonna do, because that makes you feel crappy. So I have lists of very specific things, and honestly it can be really simple things, like doing a load of laundry, hanging it all up, it's dried, then I'm gonna put it away. That makes me feel like I've done something productive. Or cleaning a certain room, which I don't like, but the feeling that I've completed something makes me feel really good and like eases my anxiety. So it's just finding that balance between just recharging myself, but also doing things that I think are worthwhile. For my anxious watchers, first of all, I feel you, but I'd also be really interested in knowing, what are your coping mechanisms? I know some people are really big on like deep breathing. Some people are really down for like meditation and yoga, that sort of stuff. If you want to leave a comment, I'd be really interested to see what helps you. So my like physical and psychological tend to be very solo. It's me looking after myself, but it does really help to have somebody that you trust to just go to and vent sometimes, because sometimes you just need to vent. What I used to do when I lived at home, I would literally like go up to my mom. I always get anxiety really bad at night. Like that's when I get my panic attacks. You know, when you're like all nice in bed and you're cozy and you're ready to sleep, and then you're like, anxiety's like, wouldn't it be a great time to have a panic attack right now? That's what mine does. So at home, I'd literally go up to my mom in my pajamas. It's like 12 o'clock at night, and I'm like, Mom, I'm feeling really sad, and I think I'm gonna have a panic attack. And then, you know, you cry and you hyperventilate, and it's really ugly, but you just kind of have to, sometimes you just have to ride it out and just outlast the panic attack. Being here, I do the same thing now with my boyfriend. I'll literally come out and be like, hey, I'm feeling sad for no reason, and I'm about to have a panic attack. In 3, 2, like, it's just nice to have someone you can just talk with and kind of calm down, because sometimes you can't help it. You just have to have that panic attack, and then you gotta move on. Side note for anybody who is trying to help somebody with anxiety, maybe a partner or a friend that's recently moved away, like me, saying stuff like, you just need to relax. Just take a deep breath and calm down. You know, you've got such a great life. You have nothing to be like sad about. Just relax. That is not helpful. Okay? Not helpful. I appreciate it, but no, don't say stuff like that. It is not helpful. What I found that is really helpful that my boyfriend will do when I'm like, hey, I'm gonna have a panic attack, you know, you get held. Being held is nice. But he'll also say things like, is there anything specifically you're upset or sad about? To which I usually say, nope, there's literally nothing I can pinpoint. I'm just feeling terrible. And then he'll say things like, how can I help you? Can I get you something? Can I do something for you? How can I help you? And that is a nice thing to say to somebody with anxiety. Don't say relax, because I'm getting mad just thinking about it. Also, if you are experiencing really bad anxiety in the same sort of situation as me because you've moved someplace, just know it does get better. It does ease off. It's just such a big change that your anxiety, the inner party pooper, is like freaking out when it really doesn't need to. So just give it time. Practice your own coping mechanisms, and honestly, within a few weeks, maybe a few months, you will feel so much better. So just don't feel like a failure. Just take it day by day and look after yourself. So quick recap: physical coping stuff, psychological coping stuff, also having somebody to just chat with is really helpful. Look after yourselves. See a doctor if you can't handle it, because there's no shame in that. Okay? There's no shame in being medicated, and there's no shame seeing a therapist, and there's no shame in dealing with it. All right, we just got to deal with it. I think that's it. I know that's not it, because I always forget stuff, but I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you so much for watching. If you do have tips or tricks or coping mechanism stuff that you want to share, please share it. I think it makes such a difference to actually talk to people about anxiety instead of pretending it doesn't happen. It makes a huge difference just to, you know, get it out there. But until next time, bye!